actually looks really old, like authentically old, right?
Looks homesteady.
We lived in Seattle. We were both just kind of like, we need to get out of the city. We weren't trying to actively move to this area, but we were looking for acreage.
And then you said keep left up to the roundhouse. There, left.
You have arrived.
It's a cool roundhouse,
Wow,
actually.
look at that. Wood is so neatly
Stacked.
Hello.
Hi. What is this? Like,
I mean, it's pretty wild. It was a kit house.
oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like in the 90s, they were doing modular prefab stuff, especially in a circle. We weren't trying to actively move to this area, but we were looking for acreage.
And this was exactly what I wanted because it is a good size, but also, you know, sort of wild. And plus the house is funky. Like I didn't want to move to the country and have like somebody else's idea of a country home. I wanted like something weird kind of. And I think this is kind of weird.
So you think this might be a kit house?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I think it was panelized, which is maybe why it would be easier to make it in a round way. There's a big steel pole that the whole house is fanned out from. For me, it's really exciting because I like building things. It's like I put these doors in, that's really fun. I like tinkering. Yeah, I like tinkering with stuff, but it's super cozy. And you know, you kind of forget that you're living in a round house.
You do?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I thought it would be weird, but it's not weird at all. This is like the heart of the whole house, and it all just like fans out. I really don't understand how the floor joists are connected, and I kind of don't want to know probably. I think this was the start of the whole assembly. That's my theory, but I hope to never find out really. But this reminds me of, do you know those houses in Disneyland in the 50s where it was like you could go visit the houses and they were these, it was like one of the first modular prefab things. This is kind of what it reminds me of. It's very space age feeling. I mean, you're not going to find that in any other home. And I think that's really exciting because so much of today's homes are like really cookie cutter. And no one's really taking very many risks in home building, which kind of stresses me out a little bit. And seeing stuff like this really gets me going because you don't know what's happening here. And I like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a, you know, like I'm sure you can adjust. There's like a screw down there. I'm sure you can adjust it. And that's pretty bizarre.
So when you came in here, what did you find?
I mean, it was really just hard to wrap your head around how everything was going to fit in here. Like I've done all this built-in stuff. So I built this. I call it the David Byrne because it's oversized, like the oversized suit. That's just a little slider. Like we got all our Nintendo in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works pretty well. There was no power, so I ran all this power and then built this bed. This was such a head scratcher. Like look at the angles there.
You didn't build this stuff.
I built all this. It's the only way to, when we first moved into this house, you would never get a bed in here. And I had to do all of that and
You put in plywood?
yeah, it's just like super easy. Just all like pocket hole. Yeah, it's really easy. But the angles are nuts.
It's not a round house, it's more of like a octagon.
I think when you tell people it's round, they automatically think yurt. Like it feels like a house, but it's round. And it's very, no one would build this anymore. It presents so many more challenges. But for this property, it's gorgeous because you have views all around, you know? It's just gorgeous. And then my wife works here, and the only wild card is the internet out here because we're pretty far out. So we're still on DSL, which is really, really nutty. But she's able to do her job from here, and she goes into the office every once in a while, and it's in Seattle. We're coming upstairs. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. There's Jerry. That's Jerry.
So up here, you don't see the other end of the pole?
No, I don't know where it goes. I'm pretty sure it just spreads the floor joists out. In some places in the house, you can feel it starting to go
To tilt?
a little bit because right now we're in the air because the bottom section is smaller. So it's like an umbrella. So this is cantilevered really. So you can sort of feel it go, yeah. I built this bed also, same material. It's really simple.
Right.
It's just a platform, and then this is just pocket holes. So that's how it's all screwed together. So you can disassemble it.
like your beds a lot.
I mean, they're so easy to make too. I also I make beds for the Ace Hotel, which is a hotel in Seattle. Yeah, just for fun.
That's cool.
This bathroom's a little Golden Girls-y, but sauna is just like so lovely. And it's just like using a heater when it's winter time, and it's just really nice.
Oh, look, you're skating.
Ooh.
But there was a really gross fireplace in here. So we put that fireplace here. It's a really great fireplace. It's also one of the most efficient, but I really just wanted one of the round fireplaces, and one that didn't cost like $20,000 or something.
Which fits the building.
I know, exactly. The first year we moved here, we put Christmas lights all around the thing, and it looked like a UFO, and we never did it again. Or we're gonna get some calls from some UFO people. We're new chicken owners. We're pretty in love with them.
And they're free range.
Well, not too far.
They don't go too far.
The other day I woke up and a bobcat was right there.
So before coming here, were you kind of pretty urban?
Yeah.
Dealing with bobcats in your backyard?
No, not yeah.
It's
No.
It's all new.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Chickens.
there's black bears out here, a lot of coyotes, a lot of mountain lion.
Is it what you expected?
I think it's surpassed my. I think that we'll live here forever, honestly.
And I go into Seattle once a week for work. It's an hour and 20 minutes door to door from here to my work. Pretty easy.
But this is a barn?
This is a garage.
So then did you add an extra bedroom, or is that what is upstairs?
That's my studio. It's my recording studio, and I built all that out. But then I put a wall in there and put a bedroom behind it, and we've been Airbnb-ing that.
Yeah, I mean, having people come up and visit us from Seattle our house is not very big. So I think that we just kind of wanted to make as many little spaces for friends and family as possible.
Since I just built the cabin, it's just like, it really warms my heart to like see the fireplace from here.
You see that you really picked the densest part of your forest. You wanted to be in the woods.
Definitely, I didn't want it to stick out, which is why I did it in black. I did this all by myself this summer. You know, I bought a tractor out here and was able to clear the land, grade the land, and dig the post holes with the tractor. And like I did the foundation, and I've never done that before. So I'm a musician, so I learned all this stuff on YouTube. I just kind of hammered it out this summer, and it's less than 200 square feet, so it doesn't require a permit. It was hard. It was hard. Yeah, but it's also really fun. And it really puts it over the edge to have done it all yourself. Right? I mean, I go in there now and all of the sweat, blood, literally blood, all of that.
Yeah.
This has pretty minimal windows, but it makes it feel really cozy because we chose cedar to go in the interior, and it's just like extraordinarily cozy.
This material is cedar as well?
Yeah, and I just stained it black. This is a cedar right here. That's a cedar, that big one's a cedar. And then I also have a sawmill. So it's cool to be able to use wood from our property and be able to mill it into whatever size. But it's just immediately cozy. I cannot tell you how happy I am. And to have done it from the foundation and to have done every part of this myself without having any knowledge. Stuff like, I did a mitered corner here, and even though some of them we got a wood stove in here, so the temperature fluctuation is crazy, but it'd be hard to pay someone to do that because they would charge you a lot of money. And it's so fun for me to learn how to do it. And, you know, there's a lot of swearing involved but I'm by myself, which is nice. So I'm swearing at myself. So like something like that's from the sawmill. So that's like a big chunk of cedar. And if you were going to buy that, it would cost an arm and a leg, you know, it would cost so much money. And then I also made the ladder out of, you know, it's really fun.
The ladder is removable because if we do ever rent it, I don't think I want people actually going up there.
It's actually super easily.
Oh, cool.
It's just on a French cleat. Yeah, so it just slots in. It's like 245-degree angles, and it just slots right in there. And you know, most ladders are at an angle, but it's so tight in here, we didn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's still super nice to walk up there, and eventually we're gonna get a really cozy little.
Some cushions and a cute reading lamp and stuff. Yeah.
I can write songs and stuff out here. You can stay out here, and there was a big storm, and I stayed the night out here, and like the rain on the roof when it's really stormy, and then watching the trees, like it's really lovely.
And there's no kitchen?
It was on the plans. The kitchen cabinets would be here, but I built all those.
But
I'm
you
really
could-
proud of that. And this is that same maple plywood that I made the beds out of. Super easy to work with. Yeah, being a musician, like making an album is such a arduous, long process. And I do all of the albums myself also. Like I'm like a one-man band. So doing something like this, it scratches the same itch. Yeah. It's pretty cozy.
Yeah, I know.
And then I love this whole, like, you can move the little coffee or the bedside table around.
Which is just a chunk of wood?
Chunk of cedar from wood that just fell down here. And then, you know, having the wood stove in here is just, when you turn out all the lights when you're going to bed and it's just like that flickering, it's just amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's really, really lovely. It's a really small space, but the ceiling makes it feel so much bigger.
Is it a square?
Yeah, I think it's 14 by 14. But yeah, I mean, you know, like getting up to the loft area.
It's definitely attached, right?
Oh yeah. If you learn how to do it yourself, you can make every part of it how you want it. But it's like such a nice view from up here to just like sit here, and when you're like in the middle of the house and seeing the, because this was the hardest part. It was so high up, and this is all tongue and groove, and you know, I think I got 14-foot boards. So doing that by myself and like hammering them in and being on the ladder, so I'm able to remember.
He kept being like, I think I need your help with something this week. And I'm like, yeah, of course, anytime. And then I would like come home from work or whatever, and he had already done it just by himself.
Did you use tongue and groove for some reason?
It's just so easy. Although to get it to line up, most people who do tongue and groove in a cabinet use trim in like every corner, because it's really hard to get the pieces to line up, because the tongue is either too big, or so when you go to meet at a corner, you'll find that it's not level. I did work really hard to do that. But when I sit up here, I'm like, you know, I can remember, like there's a bunch of nail holes here. I could remember that being really a hard part of the project. And I like that. Doing it yourself, you're able to spend the time to try to make it like you want it. Even something like making a ladder, I looked at the price of ladders. They're like $3,000 to get someone to make a custom ladder. And I did this in like 2 hours. Yeah, now I won't be able to get down, probably, you know. Yeah, so that's a French cleat there. And then that just attaches into the framing. Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah, except when we rent it out, we probably won't
Something
let people. Yeah, and the geese, we hear them all the time. But then see, like, I can cut up all this on my saw. This is all maple.
This stuff is all just fallen wood.
Yeah, and it's maple, so it's, you know, buying that at the store would be a lot. The cabin doesn't have any facilities, so I had to make a bathroom and a kitchen in the garage, and we had to install a septic system, and so this place is pretty cozy too.
So this is all wood again, but different types. Well, the floor is cork.
Yes, and the plywood is Douglas fir, which is also a native.
More affordable?
This plywood is super affordable because this is basically like what people would use as an underlayment for a floor. It's not meant to be a wall covering, but I think it just looks really cool. It's relatively easy to install too. So here you're sort of like getting big chunks of it done. The garage was just completely open, so it's crazy how much space was here. And it just makes perfect sense to put something like this here. And it was really fun to build it. I just got to frame walls. I did all the electrical and I did all the plumbing.
Oh, that's the hard part. That's usually what people hire out for.
YouTube. It was really hard. Like I had to do a pressure test with the water lines, because you do the water lines and then you cover everything up, and you don't think about that stuff when you hire someone to do it. But when you do it yourself, you go to sleep at night being like, did I do that one connection?
So you just had to figure out like where you needed to open up walls,
To put the plumbing in? I just built walls over the existing ones, which was so much easier. So that's why it's really thick here. See how it's like a super big well? So there's just two 2x4 walls butted up together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you had to think about electric and plumbing before you built the wall.
Yeah, exactly. That's the hard part about is trying to figure, for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, something like this being at the right height, thinking about stuff like that, or where to put an outlet. That's the stuff that's really wild, that you don't think about when you hire someone to do it. It's so much work and there's so many details.
What's the wood in here?
This is clear cedar. So this is cedar that doesn't have any knots. So the grain is all, this is like super expensive cedar. We really wanted to do that in the cabin and we got a quote for
But
it.
weirdly, I like the other cedar better, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of don't know if I would get this again. But that's also the cool thing about doing this is I'm learning so much every time I build something. I milled these on the property. So these were Doug fir trees that fell on the property. And if you think about how much it would cost to buy that, it's just so nice to do it for free. Yeah. And then also it's really satisfying. I put these stairs in. It's the same material that I built the beds out of. This plywood works for so much. And it's just so much cheaper than buying, you know, oak stair treads or something. Yeah. And then here's the guest room. So this was totally empty. I got to put all the flooring in. So I put a dividing wall in here. And it's just this really cozy bed. And so I built, these are like the beds I built for the Ace Hotel. So these are the plywood that are the walls downstairs. So that's like the cheaper plywood.
So this feels like you're entering your spaceship. The other's a UFO.
This is the Star Trek Enterprise for sure. This is kind of like my job, really. The like blinky lights don't make it. Yeah, it's pretty spaceshipy. But yeah, all of this is to mitigate the sound. So there was no floor in here, and then I built the wall here. So there was no wall. This was one giant room, and I was making music in here, and it sounded crazy. It was just so like, yeah. So, you know, I'll just like sit here and do my thing. My band, Telekinesis, is the name of my project, but it's just myself. I make all the records myself, so I'll go around and play all these things myself and sing and all that. You know, I've got it all mic'd up, so then I can do that, and then I can go over to the piano and, you know. So I'll write a song, but I'll play the drums, and I'll play the bass, and I'll sing, and then I'll play the piano, and then go over to my synthesizer stuff, and then a song comes. Like this is currently what I've been messing with. So I got all that going here and can do a bunch of fun stuff. And then I got this guy, which is making a lot of weird noises in there too. And that's what I was saying about the building too. It's so similar where you're constructing this thing and then at the end of it, you have this great feeling of satisfaction because you started with nothing. And then it's like a magic trick. It's like a real cosmic, nebulous thing. So the thing about being a musician that is my favorite part is there's no rules. You can be bad or good and still make a great song. Like people say Ringo was a bad drummer in the Beatles. He's one of, if not the greatest drummer of all time. Not because he can go around and play like all this crazy stuff, but because he played to the song perfectly. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I don't want to be like a virtuoso. And I feel like the limitations I have on each of these instruments is really beneficial to the type of song I can make. And this was all from I milled all that on the sawmill too.
Did you really?
Yeah, that's Doug fir.
That's so cool.
Like the less I know is actually is better. And that applies to so many things in life.
But that's like your building too, right? Like you're not trying to be a perfectionist. You actually like some of the rough edges.
Yeah. Like this, like my family will come over and be like, you didn't put any trim there. Like that's what I want. I love looking at the plywood. That's a feature to me. These are just screws that screw this together, and then you just fill it in with a little plug. If you were to talk to a woodworker, they would say that's bad.
Why?
Because it's easy, because you're putting a screw in there and you're not using like, you know, handcrafted joinery. But see, I also love that. I think that looks cool.
I do too.
And I think that's what's cool about not knowing stuff is you don't have this preconceived notion of what is right. So you just do whatever you want to do. Like, I am totally self-taught on the piano. You just like figure it out. Same with building. You just figure it out. And then you can do what you want to do. Because you have this idea of what you want it to look like or sound like. And it's really nice to just be able to like go to an instrument, and I tried to do all of them. My dad was a DJ. My dad's radio name is Mike West. This is David Lee Roth from Van Halen. This was a promotional item. So you have a David Lee Roth condom, a cigar, a bottle of whiskey, a shot glass. Right. That's how the time period was. Yeah, I mean, you can't get away with that stuff now for sure.
So you're addicted to building.
Yeah.
The excess is like...
Yeah, I'm snorting cedar. And I'm getting high as a kite on that cedar too. I built these. I was really proud of these. So this is that maple plywood again. And these were kind of like one of the first cabinets I've built. And I was really proud of these little kind of built-in poles.
So the knobs are actually that triangle on top?
Yeah.
Which is,
So you don't have to pay for hardware, right?
Yeah.
Thrifty. So then we built the wall and then made it into a guest room, which was great. So then also if people come here to record, they can spend the night, and because we're so far, you know, and like you're saying, most people like to work late. So I don't like to work late, but I like to be done before dinner.
Didn't you build this?
I sure did. And I got to bring all of my records in here, so when people stay, they can use the records. It's the best way to listen to music because it forces you to listen to it. When it's over and it's still spinning, you have to physically lift it out of the record player and turn it over. And also the artwork is so big. As someone who makes records myself, and I love making artwork, I want people to think that it was a person making it. Like that, I just love looking at the edge.
Right, it's sort of like the beauty of like a vinyl record.
Exactly, because we're living in a world where you don't have to be a person to make the music anymore. You can type it into a computer. I want people to hear that. Let me turn these crazy guys off. Like when I work on the computer, I try to use it as a tape machine where I play the whole thing. Instead of, a lot of people will just play a part and then cut everything together with the computer. I'm trying to play like the whole thing. Yeah, and then you can you can lock that, and then no one, because we Airbnb this, so no one is any wiser that there's a recording studio in there.
It says studio on the door.
But they don't know what it they don't know what it looks like.
It could be any type of studio.
This is also a fireplace, which is a ventless fireplace. It runs on bioethanol, but then you don't have to run a pipe out, you know? Yeah. This is also something I'm very proud of. We played on the Jimmy Fallon show. I took the cue card. That was probably one of the most nervous things. They come up to you right before you play and they say, just so you know, if you screw up, we will not redo it. You get one shot. That's it. Of course, I like go on, they're like 3, 2, 1, and then I'm like, what's the first line to this song? You just like, your head starts to go crazy.
I think we just took it.
I took it. Yes, I did. Aimee makes these chairs.
They're just vintage chair frames that I find and then redo the webbing on, so I like macrame. This was a great score of like actual like 60s chairs that someone found on the side of the road. This is the garage and this is Michael's shop.
So this is what you leveled on.
Yeah, and you attach like a post hole digger with an auger on it, and that's how I dug all the holes for the foundation, and I put the sauna tubes in, and it's just really thrilling to not have to call someone for something. Like you can really accomplish pretty much anything.
And then Michael has a ceramic studio in here, and
yeah, I got really into that.
Oh my gosh.
So the bathroom and the kitchen are behind all of this. All of this I built out. And I also, because I'm a musician, splurged on the saw that doesn't cut your fingers off.
Because the rest of us are okay with cutting our fingers off. This is like super, it doesn't cut your fingers off because
if you touch the blade while it's spinning, there's a mechanism and the blade drops. And it's like a conductive thing. If you complete a circuit, it will basically just give you like a tiny little, like you won't even bleed most of the time. It's really amazing.
And this is pieces of wood, or some of this looks like it's from...
Yeah, a lot of it I've milled up. All of these hemlock, those are all drying. Those are from the property. That's all hemlock fir. Someone's giving us some peafowl.
We're getting 2 peahens and a peacock, so he needs to make a little holding pen.
So I'm probably gonna do some slats.
So they'll get a hemlock coop. Wow, sounds good.
But you know, free is also really good.
Maybe cabins, best cabins are gonna come from people who are not builders.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what, yeah. I would encourage anyone who has the ability or can to try to learn how to build stuff like that, because it's been an unbelievable thing.